Dear students, now we are into research methodology unit 2. In the last session, actually, we were talking about what is meant by research. We learned about the definition of research. Then we understood about the criteria for doing good research. We found out in the areas in which research is happening as far as business is concerned. We learned about the research process as well. So in today's session, we will be looking into how do you formulate the management question, and then how do you formulate the research question. The questions arises from the problem. So our today's class will focus on that. It's a research problem. It's nothing but a statement. So what we do is like we formulate a statement about the area of concern, which particular area you're trying to focus on, and what condition has to be improved, or the difficulty which has to be eliminated, or a troubling question that exists in the scholarly research. And then in practice, or that points to the need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigations. Supposing you go to a company. So in that company, they keep telling that we are doing all good things to our employees, but then we are not able to increase the productivity of employees. So that could be a problem which exists in a particular company. Or else one particular company may say that there is lots and lots of absenteeism. Or one company will say that the salesmen are not able to convince the consumers in spite of good incentives what they give. Okay, and likewise in one particular department of a manufacturing company say that there is lots and lots of rejections. Particularly when there is a consignment to a foreign country, there's lots and lots of rejections happening, and they are not able to find out the problem for rejections. Okay, so they would ask you like to come out with the solutions, or to improve, even if things are going on well. What happens is, supposing the company is the maturity stage also, if they still wanted to develop, they will find out what we could explore more. Okay. So this is, there comes the statement of the problem. Okay, so we actually convert that into a meaningful understanding of what is that we are trying to proceed. So it's like having a clear cut vision or idea about what is that you're going to do. So as a company has got a vision, you got a problem statement over here. Why should you first of all define a research problem? So a research problem helps us to formulate the sequence of conducting the research. It helps us to avoid unnecessary steps in research. So it is the preliminary step in conducting a research. We need to focus on the problem alone. Like you can't solve all the problems in one particular research. So we have to pick up only one particular problem, and we have to come out with a research design for that. So the first and foremost thing is to define particularly what problem we are trying to address. Okay. So when you identify the research problem, so identification of research problem actually is nothing but a sense of awareness which is prevalent in the society. So that could be a social problem as well, a social phenomenon or the concept that is worth for study, as it is required to be investigated to understand it. So the researcher identifies such research problem by means of observations, by means of previous knowledge, by means of wisdom, and by skills. Okay, so now we need to look into the techniques involved in defining a research problem. So how do I state a research problem? So what we can do is, the techniques are, now you can state the problem in a very generic way. Like I wanted to come out organizational development interventions. Okay. So I wanted to bring in change. The company needs to grow. The company is trying to focus on Six Sigma. Okay, if not Six Sigma, then it's going for at least Four Sigma level of rejections. Or else, when you travel from Chennai to that side, you could see, achieve 100 ppm, 100 products per million defects are permitted. So they will have uh, one motto as far as quality is concerned. So, but then if they are not able, supposing at present level, they are with 1000 ppm, okay, and they have kept up an objective of 100 ppm, then the statement of the problem will be like, in what way could I achieve 100 ppm? Okay, so that should be the statement of the problem. Then understanding the nature of problem involved into it. So what is that I am trying, I am trying to do? Supposing if you are into total quality management concept, then this quality conscious should be inculcated amongst everyone, right from the top management till the bottom lowest level of person. So understanding the nature of the problem, so you will try to find out is the quality consciousness is being inculcated amongst all individuals inside the company. Okay, so we understand about that, like when it comes to quality in the production, then everyone should be involved into it, because the concept what they talk about is total quality management. Then for these things, like one important aspect what all of us should keep in mind is, we are not going to invent something which is not at all available. Okay, as I've told you in the previous session itself, there are lots and lots of scientists who have done so much of study as far as management is concerned, and then they have written, documented the findings of their work in terms of papers, in journals, in books. Okay, even if it is an ongoing research, we will have white papers. There will be some blogs, there will be websites of a particular company. Okay, there will be audited accounting statements, there will be reports, RBI's report or NASCOM's report. Okay. So annual reports will be there, or the outcome of certain studies will also be there. So lots and lots of literature is already available. So what we have to do is, if you wanted to state a problem, you go and survey the available literature which is already existing. Then you develop the ideas through discussions with some people, those who are in the same field. Then you rephrase the research problem into working proposition. Okay, supposing you can do a case study, or you can take only one company and do a case study, or else you can take many companies and collect data from everyone from that particular sector, or you can interview only the experts in that. Okay, so you rephrase a research problem into working proposition. How you are going to convert this particular problem into workable mode. So now we have got types of research problem. The problems are actually classified into four ways. The first research problem is causes research problem. So this particular type of problem relates to determination of the right and wrong in questions of conduct or conscience by analyzing some moral dilemmas through the applications of general rules and careful distinction of special cases. So I told you, like the management dilemma will be there, ethical dilemma will be there. Okay, you would have seen some advertisements, like one particular person will have his own a place where he comes out with oil. Okay, then what he will do is, instead of taking that oil to his house, he will go to a shop and he will buy a branded oil bottle and he goes. So uh, the moral of the story is like, if you are not able to use it for your own house, then is it okay that you produce it and give it to the society? So there comes a moral dilemma. Okay, So what you do is like they conduct the research problem is stated, which will address to moral dynamos, and they will carefully distinguish of special cases. For example, when Johnson and Johnson came out with some baby products, what they did was they had some they selected a group of children from a rural segment, and it was administered as free samples to the kids, and they found out whether they had any rashes or anything on their skin. Only then it came into market. Okay. But when they selected this sort of children, they selected children who were hale and healthy, and they did not have any type of problem after their birth. And then they checked whether all the vaccines were given to the children. Okay, and they checked whether they have any heredity type of skin allergies. Okay, the allergy test, everything has been done properly, and then they tested on that. So what happens is this research problem, this is what is called as causist research problem. So you analyze moral dilemma. So if you wanted to administer amongst children, then you come out with that particular question before going into the entire population, into the market. So you can do that. Okay. So this is the first type of research problem. The second one is difference research problem. So we will, this is what is this, the another name for that is comparative research. So is there a difference between two or more groups or treatments? So this type of problems, supposing you wanted to find out if there is differences in the public sector units and the private sector units. Is there a difference between multinational corporations and the public sector organizations in India? Okay, difference in the way how they manage human resources. What are the legal aspects, like what do they compile by? Supposing if you take multinational corporations, foreign multinational corporations, they are governed by equal employment opportunities, but not so. Supposing nowadays it is unorganized sector. So what are you going to check up with? Are we going to check up with living wages, minimum wages, fair wages? No. Now we have got Social Securities Act 2020. So it is meant for gig workers and the unorganized people as well. So supposing you wanted to find out whether those guys are doing well, do they have any welfare measure, or are they left like that and been exploited? Then what you can do is you can that particular problem is stated as difference research problem. Then comes descriptive research problem. You should remember that we have a type of research design called as descriptive type of research. So the typical question what we ask here is what is, with the underlying purpose to describe the significance of a situation. Significance is nothing but importance of a situation, stage, or existence of a specific phenomenon. So this problem is often associated with revealing hidden or understudied issues. So all the perception based study, like if you wanted to find out impulse buying behavior, if you wanted to find about brand recall, if you wanted to find about the influence of celebrity endorsement. So then what you do is you go and you state a research problem in that particular way. Okay. Then the next one is relational research problem. Here it suggests a relationship between two different variables which are investigated. So the underlying purpose is to investigate specific qualities or characteristics that may be connected in some way. Okay. So the types of research problem are causes research problem, difference research problem, descriptive and relational research problem. So now you have a question in your mind. How do you find out where the problem exists? Okay, madam, I am very new to research. How can I go and ask about problems? Where do I find out, first of all, the problems? So the sources of problems can be sought out in these ways. First thing is deductions from theory. So in your principles of management subject, management principles and organizational behavior, you would have studied about many theories, isn't it or not? There have been motivation theories. So we have got motivation theories like Maslow's hierarchy theory, Hertzberg two-factor theory. Then we have got Adam Smith equity theory, X and Y theory, Auchi's theory. So many theories are there. So what we can do is you can take out those theories, or else you got segment fluid theory. So you can take one theory and you can go and test it whether it is same or not. Supposing even have thrown experiments is also a research study only. They kept on changing the physical ambience. The lighting was changed, the air conditioning was changed, the color of the paint of the walls were changed. Okay, then they found out if there is a change in the productivity level of employees. So you can do that. So now what you can do is you can have piped music and you can see whether this piped music is going to increase the productivity level of people. All the stuff you can actually note into. If they work in air conditioned atmosphere, is their productivity level going up or not? Okay, so one particular author has come out that all these things, the physical ambience are considered as basic basic factors. Okay, they are called as hygiene factors. And then he says that these factors will not motivate an employee to perform better. You have got motivating factors other than these factors, which are fundamental in nature. Only those factors are going to motivate an employee. So you can now apply and check whether these theories are still true or not. Okay. So we have heard that Maslow's hierarchy theory is not proved till date. So what Maslow says is any fulfilled need is not going to be a motivating factor. So what he says, basic needs. What is the first step of need? Basic needs. Then he says the psychological needs, isn't it? Then he goes to for first needs is basic needs, then safety and security needs, then psychological needs, then he goes to self-esteem, then he goes to self-realization or self-actualization. But what happens is human behavior is very complex. Even if you are at the stage of fulfillment of your basic needs and you are with the thirst of achieving some self-esteem needs, again human mind will go back to the basic needs. If your the fellow worker has been given just 500 rupees increment and you don't get it, but you've been given a position over there, you have been given recognition, you have been given a position, you've been treated very good, but then also you go back to that basic need and see that why that fellow has been given 500 rupees extra and why they didn't give me extra. Okay, so deductions from theories can happen. So that could be the first source of identifying a problem. The second thing is interdisciplinary perspective. What happens is applications of role of HR in implementing total quality management. So that could be one thing. And then you can find out the stress level of healthcare workers. Then you can study about impact of brand on over-the-counter medicines. Okay, over-the-counter medicine is from the pharmacy department. Branding is from the marketing. Okay, so you can take an interdisciplinary perspective and you can find out whether what you have done branding is applicable in over-the-counter medicine. Okay. So this problem actually we did one such research. The problem where it came from was the Jan Aushadhi. So we've got Jan Aushadhi where the particular medicine will not have a brand name. It will have only its chemical composition and it will be sold at the government counters. But then many of them don't go and buy because they are influenced very much by the brand. Okay. So we can do this sort of interdisciplinary perspective. There the problem creeps in, you apply it over there. And instead of studying the perception in the rural marketing, one of my a colleague, he is doing research on how do you use IoT to facilitate rural marketing. Okay. So as if you take logistics management, like we have got trackers. So the impact of the information technology or IoT or artificial intelligence on the logistics segment. So it is interdisciplinary in nature. Okay, then the next way of finding out the problem is by interviewing practitioners. So people, those who are doing it, the men in action, will have some problem in their mind. Okay, so you can address those problems by doing research. Then by your own personal experience, supposing you were working in a KPO, you've been given night shifts, and imagine that you are a lady. So you would have left the job because you've been given night shifts. So now you can take up a study. Why many women are studying engineering and many professional programs they study, but then they still sit at home because they are not able to manage their professional life as well as their personal life. Okay, so now we wanted to find out if the flexible working hours has been given or work from home has been given. So will the women folk be able to contribute to the industry? So that you can actually do it as a research. So what type of support or what type of welfare measures does a woman need to excel in her uh, professional life? Okay, so based on your personal experience also you can formulate the research problem. Then as I've told you, the relevant literature, lots and lots of work has been done already. So this we call it as a research gap. Okay, the research gap is found out by the existing literature. If many other scholars have done research in one specific segment and still you find that people have not touched one particular thing, then that becomes the gap. To fill up that gap, you can do research in that particular segment. Okay, so relevant literature you can go through and you can identify and you can state the problem. Okay, now comes research question. A research question is a question that a study or a research project is aiming to answer. So you draft 4 or 5 questions, and after you complete it, after you complete the research work, these questions have to be answered by your findings and suggestions. So the question will address the problem by analysis and by interpretation of data. You will give answers at the end. Okay. So the research question is written so that it outlines various aspects of study, including the population, the variables to be studied, and the problem of the study is addressed properly. Okay, so the primary importance of framing the research question is that it narrows down the broad topic of interest into a specific area of study. Otherwise, we will start with one problem and we will end up with the other one. Okay, so until otherwise we state what is that we are going to do, we will haphazardly will be taken away by one researcher to the other researcher, and will move on in a haphazard way, and we will not be answering to the question what we had at the early stage. Okay, so research question along with the hypothesis also serves as a guiding framework for research, the boundary within which we are going to operate. So these questions also specifically reveal, that's what I told you, the boundary of the study. It sets its limitation and it ensures cohesion. There should be a binding. It should be like a storytelling, like how you started the work, how you went on, how did you move forward, how this particular methodology suited. So all these things will fall in line. So the research question has a domino effect on the rest of the study. This is going to influence the research methodology, the sample size, the data collection, data analysis, so on and so forth. Okay, so the path to a research question. So now we will come out with a broad topic. Supposing you wanted to do a competency analysis. So what you do is you narrow down through some preliminary research. So working knowledge of the topic you'll have competency. So what is meant by competency? Competency is a combination of skill, knowledge, and attitude. Okay. So you study about why people are talking about why this has become a buzzword now. Competency, competency. Why they are talking about that? Okay, then what you do is like you come out with a working question. So you wanted to find out how competencies are stated, how competencies are exhibited. Why should you have a component called as attitude as a part and parcel of competency? Okay, attitude is nothing but predisposition of behavior. So here comes positivism and negativism. If you are a self-motivated person, then your attitude will be positive towards everything, and the sense of belongingness will be very good for that particular guy. So what happens is you problematize that, and then what you do is you spot the gap. So are people actually selected to a company based on the competencies what they possess? Are they being trained to improve their competence? Supposing knowledge is something what they get by the academic credentials. Attitude comes from the heredity and from the environment that they are into. Skill set, supposing if they are lagging, like you can give them training, and then you can improve the skill set. Okay. So we can correlate this when you have the recruitment and selection process, and you go and find out that in the research question that whether competencies are measured during the selection process itself. Supposing people work for IT or ITS, or people those are called as knowledge workers, like when you acquire a talent, when it is talent management, particularly competencies plays a vital role, because the whole investment is on the talents. We don't have machinery, or we don't have the material or anything. It becomes a service sector. Supposing it is a fintech company, there also we have got knowledge workers. So the research question here is like we are going to find out what is core competency, what is technical competency. Okay, all these things, the classifications of competencies will be stated down, and then we will try to come out or evaluate all those competencies one by one. Okay. So when you formulate the research question, a good problem. Now we are coming out with the problem statement. We will introduce the broad area in which the research is centered, gradually revealing the leader to more specific issues that you are going to investigate. The statement need not be very lengthy, like it can be very precise in simple words. Features of research question is the compelling topic should be there. It supports multiple perspectives, like perspective from all the stakeholders. It should have a research ability. Supposing you are trying to find out about uh, business ethics, so framing up of hypothesis becomes very tough over there. So what happens is for one person it may be right and the other person may not be right, so it again becomes hypothetical. So it highlights a genuine dilemma, area of ambiguity or point of confusion about a topic open to interpretation by your readers. Okay. So you yield an answer that is unexpected and not obvious, rather than inevitable and self-evident. The research question should be in such a way that it provokes meaningful thought or discussion. Supposing when you give a questionnaire to a group of people, sometimes what happens is, looking at the questionnaire, they will raise their eyebrows. Oh, this is such a topic is there. So supposing now you take one particular topic, where we recently had a research, employee voice. Okay, so earlier we were talking about employee engagement, organization citizenship behavior, employee commitment, employee loyalty. But now there is a platform called as employee voice recognition. Earlier days we had something called a suggestion box. We had feedbacks. We had a grievance redressal mechanism, when we had unions, when we then we had collective bargaining and all those stuff. but now it has gone, like when you come out with or when you implement one different HR policy or one practice you put forth, immediately the employee actually comments about that. You call it as voice. And that particular thing is in qualitative. It's qualitative in nature. It's not quantitative. But there are tools, in HR analytics where you can interpret it by predictive analytics. Like you can come out with the sentimental analytics, this sentimental analysis by which you can find out whether this particular words are giving positive note or negative note, or is it neutral. What is the type of comment they are giving? And based on the responses, based on the voice of the employees, you can decide whether you are going to continue with that HR practice or you are not going to continue with the HR practice. Or it is not about HR alone, like supposing you are bringing in a new machine, and then you are automating everything, so you can get opinion from the employees, like if you wanted to implement total quality management, then you can see the opinion of people. Instead of having a grapevine communication, you can have this as a formal communication, and the analytics will be very much useful in either continuing it or you by leaving it. Okay. So it provokes the research question, like about the involvement, or supposing you are into the mode of participative management, where we wanted to hear from all the stakeholders. The employees are the most important stakeholders within the organization. They are called as your internal customers as well. So your internal customers should first give feedback about the product or the services what you are into. Okay. Then raise the visibility of the key ideas or concepts that may be understudied or hidden. Then the research question suggests the need for complex analysis or argument rather than a basic description and summary. Okay. And it offers a specific path of inquiry that avoids eliciting generalization about the problem. So you can't come with a blunt statement. You can't generalize that this happens everywhere. So you can come out with it comes with a specific path. So recently when we keep doing research, like we will be very much wondering, or it will challenge you the title what we have taken. Supposing one variable what we recently took for the study was self-esteem. Will the self-esteem be a moderating variable which leads to work life rhythm? So self-esteem was not at all moderating. No moderating effect was there, which means moderator means it should increase the work-life balance. So it was actually challenging Maslow's hierarchy theory. Okay, so we thought like, and likewise in another research, we had resilience. So resilience was not at all contributing to the employee retention, where the independent variables were ergonomic factors. Okay. So sometimes there will be something else, like, so we will formulate a research question, and we will try to see whether what we had traditionally as concepts in our mind are still existing, or are they deviating from that particular concept and expecting something else. Okay, even that could be found out. Okay, so for this we go in for literature survey. So I was telling like there are lots and lots of documented thing across the globe, which are available in open source as well as abstracts. So you need to spend your time. If you wanted to do good research, you have to spend much of your time in the library, where you can download full text articles. You have to study all those things. The literature survey, the content what already people have written is being preserved. It has been published, it has been preserved. They are the ingredient for the food what you're going to do. Without that food, without that ingredient, you can't cook the food. Okay, so you can't go to only one document and come out with your own idea. You have to actually go and explore what is already written. So what is meant by literature survey? It is a process of first locating, reviewing, studying. Review means you have to study, you have to read it, understand it, analyze it, and document the published and unpublished information from various types of information sources in areas of specific interest to the researcher. So why should you do literature survey? To know what others have done already. Because I told you in initial class itself, we are not coming out with new invention. We are researching. Okay. To follow the trend and identify the problem. What's a recent trend? What people are into? And to avoid duplication. So many, when people come with certain titles, employee satisfaction, customer satisfaction, stress management. So if they come with all these titles, particularly nowadays, no, like there is one fantasy title, employee attrition and retention, HR planning. So they come only with this sort of titles other than so many other titles which are related to HRP. And likewise, if it is a banking sector, they come only with the title customer relationship management. Okay, there is a difference between relationship management and customer relationship management. So only when you study it, you can come out with operational definitions as well. So to avoid duplication, first you have to go and study what that particular phrase is all about. As far as management is concerned, you need to understand about the phrase. You can't give explanation or meaning as you like, you have to study what they meant. So you have operational definitions for each and everything to support your argument. Supposing they ask you a question, like, why did you select this topic? You should not give an answer, my guide told me to do it, or my friend told me to do it, or simply I wanted to do it, they gave permission only in this particular topic. No, it's not so. You have to actually defend your statement by the previous research. So people have done these many research. This is a gap. So I have taken it from that particular gap. I am doing this research. So to follow theoretical, empirical, methodological design work of related field, you want some samples, which has been done already. To gather data to extend your methods, findings, and discussions, what you do is you tell that already people found out like this, but then my study is actually supporting it or it is against it. So you can talk about it. You will have content to talk. Okay. So basically, it serves as a basis for presenting new research findings. And you can give directions for future research also. Okay. So now why we do it? Why we do literature review? We find out what information already exists, identify gaps in the literature, find other people work in the same field, identify major seminal work, identify major methodologies and research techniques. So supposing if people are using only Excel spreadsheet, so you can go to SPSS. People are using only SPSS, you can go to AMOS. Then people are using only quantitative technique, you can go to qualitative technique through open source. Okay, so identify main ideas, conclusions, and theories, and establish similarities and differences. Provide a context for your own research. Then show some relationship between previous studies and theories. Okay, that's why we need to go through literature which is already available. Literature means the documented report of the research work which has been done. Okay, literature means it's not story like Shakespeare's story and all those stuff. The literature is the content which has been already written and published, or it can be a working paper also. It can be through an interview also. Okay, so the literature which is already been there has to be explored for your present research. Otherwise, you will not know what has happened in the past, because you will go outdated. Okay, so how do you do it? The first and foremost thing is you locate the literature, read and take notes, organize notes into section, because when you take one particular article, you have to cite who has stated that, and you have to put it in the reference. The references are a very important thing which will talk about your work. Finally, we will go in for report writing. So where you will be putting references. Okay. When you publish paper, we put it as references, and in your thesis or dissertation or a project report, we put it as bibliography. The difference between these two is like references, what you cite in the text only will be put in the reference. But here in bibliography, whatever you have studied as a base, but you have not quoted it inside, also could be given in the bibliography. Okay, so you organize and take notes into sections. Then what you do is you synthesize, understand sources well enough to actually teach them. You write, revise the literature, and review essay. Okay, this is how you have to go into. Then the guidelines for writing a literature review, you conduct a thorough literature survey before you start. You ensure to present the research problem very clearly. Compare and contrast the different views of the sources. The literature review should include the title, the abstract, index, introduction, corpus, bibliography, and appendices. You can use the literature review to all parts of your research report. Mention the paper's methodology, analysis, instruments, what they have used, equipments in the study. Remember, you have to cite it properly. You have studied from one particular article. You have taken it from that. You can take even the questionnaire. The scale could be adapted, but you have to properly cite them. Only then that the author will be getting more of citation, and his visibility in the research arena will go up. So it will limit the bias, and it will give you some strength to summarize the study. Okay. So with this, actually, we conclude Unit 2. Thank you for the patient listening. We'll meet you in the next session.